there's an emergency and you have to get to the hospital, and you're looking to find a car around, and the only car available has three pedals, but you have 2 feet, and has a weird lever in the middle. So, how are you going to get to the hospital? What the heck is this? Now, granted, many of you are never in a situation like that, and I would at least hope not. But you should be informed about how to drive a manual transmission in case something like that were to happen, or something even remotely similar. So, I come to deliver this speech because of the vehicles that I've owned in my life are stick shift, and being that, I'm a human being and I drive stick shift, I've also driven an automatic, as in the majority of cars are automatic transmissions. And from driving both, I really prefer driving a stick shift. And in this speech, I plan on informing you about how to drive a stick shift and their benefits, and why it's sad that they're being phased out and forgotten when they deliver a good amount of pros. So, first and foremost, we have to be informed about how to drive a stick shift, and I also want to explain about how beneficial they are, and then hopefully you'll all be wanting to go to a dealer and buy one on a test drive, and you're not going to want to stall. So, manual transmissions operate on a simple principle in which the driver selects the gears manually for the best splitting of power between driving. Now, like I said, all transmissions work this way where they select the power, but someone does it manually in you guessed it, a manual transmission. And a better way to drive is to get an understanding of the parts so that when you sit behind the wheel, it's a more comfortable experience. So, first, there's the clutch, which is, like I said, that weird third pedal on the ground, or two brake pedals and one throttle. The clutch separates the engine and the flywheel from the transmission so that there's a smooth transition between the gears when you select them, and there won't be a grinding noise. Failure to properly use the clutch results in grinding gears, and it's like a sound. Next, there's the gear shifter, and it's usually just a stalk that sticks right out and is numbered in gears, usually in an H pattern, and displays where these gears are located. And so a simple push on the clutch pedal and a throw into whatever gear you want is how you get into the gear. It's pretty simple. And lastly, there's the parking brake, which is activated by pulling up on another lever, or in trucks, it's a pedal on the ground that gets pushed in that's pretty stiff. And this will stop the vehicle from rolling when you're in neutral, or if you have the clutch pedal engaged. The manual transmission vehicle will roll if it's on an incline. So now that you have some familiarity with the parts, let's learn about how to drive them. So with the clutch pedal fully depressed when we're in a stop, you want to have the clutch pedal fully depressed, and you want to make sure that the transmission is in neutral, and if your parking brake is on, you want to throw the parking brake down. With the transmission in neutral and the clutch fully depressed, you want to start the vehicle. Usually you need the clutch depressed in most vehicles to start it. It's a safety feature. You're going to throw the vehicle into first gear as indicated on the pattern. And what you're going to do is slowly release the clutch to where there's some slight, front movement with the vehicle. And then you're going to want to seesaw, like a seesaw. You want to seesaw your foot off the clutch, and you're giving your throttle foot more throttle. And it's a seesaw motion. And eventually you'll start rolling after a couple stalls. Now you want to give it gas like a regular car, but there's more involved. Like I said, it's a manual transmission. So when the engine starts to rev too high in first gear, you have to select a new gear. To do this, you let off the gas completely, and I mean completely, and fully floor the clutch. Like you want to go fast, but you need to floor the clutch. So not like flooring a gas pedal. And you want to throw into the next selected gear that you desire, whatever your little heart desires, and you throw it in and then let off the clutch again smoothly so you're not dumping the clutch, as they call, and back onto the gas. Now there's a red light up ahead. We got to slow down. So with the clutch fully engaged, you want to select the lower gear, usually the gear right below the gear that you're in, and let off slowly, and voila, downshift, and your wheels will start spinning slower in that lower gear. At the light, you should just throw the vehicle into neutral, and to prevent damage from the clutch from keeping your foot depressed on the clutch pedal while in another gear. And it'll be neutral as the middle of its pattern. You can freely wiggle the shifter, and then once you get ready to get going again, you just repeat the process that you just learned. So manual transmissions also have their benefits. New York Daily News is keen to describe their benefits and the fact that it says they're easier to maintain. The only item frequently seen on most stick shifts is the clutch component, And that usually doesn't require changing for hundreds or thousands of miles. And I've done clutches myself, and I can say the same, that very few have to go bad unless you don't know how to drive a stick in a couple 100,000 miles. There's also benefits of fuel economy. It says parasitic power losses from the torque converter and hydraulic pump can rob an automatic equipped car of a small percentage of its power, along with its fuel efficiency. So an automatic transmission has more moving parts that require the spinning from the engine and the crankshaft to power them, which therefore robs it from going right to the back wheels or the rear differential. And therefore you have power losses from and fuel efficiency losses from less being used to actually spin the wheels. So it's truly sad to see these vehicles being phased out. And many people who drive stick have to pay attention more. You're safer on the road. It's harder to use, a phone or any type of device or eat while you're using four limbs to drive. And that being said, phones and not paying attention is a huge issue to driving and accidents today. CarScoop states that in the 2020 model year, only 12% of all vehicles are offered a stick, and showing a downward trend from when there was 37% in 2011. So it's sad to see such a lost art, I guess you could say, being phased out. So I want to conclude that with all this information in hand, I hope some of you are interested in driving a manual or learning how to drive or brushing up. I provided you with a detailed description on how to drive a stick and displayed some of the benefits to help you out. And like I said, I hope to see you all driving a stick and not stalling or grinding gears. And are there any questions you feel I may not have elaborated on that you have for me?